The Buccaneers began OTAs on Tuesday, so we dive into some observations from day one. Gronk continues his troll job of Bucs fans and teammates as he still hasn't made a decision about returning. Then we're going to answer a voicemail and some questions from the live chat on the YouTube live feed. Let's go.
Locked On Buccaneers, your daily Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, and welcome to the Locked On Bucs Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. We are your daily podcast covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, where we are live right now. Thank you to all of us joining over there. We thank you for making us your first listen or view every day. I am James Yarcho, flying solo on this episode, but of course, you can check out everything my co-host David Harrison is doing over at BucsGameDay.com. You can check out everything I'm doing over at BucsNation.com, and of course, follow along on Twitter at LockedOnBucs, at JYarcho_Bucs, and at DHarrison82. So Tuesday was the first day of OTAs for the Buccaneers, and as expected, there are some notable names missing from the OTAs. That includes Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette, Russell Gage, Donovan Smith, Shaq Barrett, Levante David, Devin White, Carlton Davis. Now, Mike Evans and his wife, Ashley, are back in Texas and are expecting the birth of a child any day now. That comes from, I believe I saw that from Greg Allman on Twitter. So more than an excused absence for a voluntary workout when you're expecting the birth of another child. My thing was, I was really, really surprised to see Russell Gage on this list. You take a look at the other players. Yes, they're prominent players for the Buccaneers. They are leaders on this team, but they've been in this system for a couple of years now. This is Russell Gage's first year in the system, and you would kind of think that your first year in a new system, you're going to want to try to get as much of the offense down as quickly as you can before heading into training camp. Now, maybe Gage will show up, later on, and he just wasn't there for day one. But, even though the whole team went through a coaching change, and usually with the coaching change, a lot of players who normally wouldn't show up to OTAs will be there because they want to start to get the new system under their belt, start to understand it a little bit. That's why I was so surprised that Gage wasn't there. Gage doesn't know the offense, and it's a very difficult one. Maybe he felt that since his quarterback wasn't going to be there, he wasn't going to be there, and he'll get, sped up once he's able to hook up with Tom Brady. But I would have expected somebody who was spending their first year in the system to be at OTAs, start to get an understanding from Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator, and start to understand the playbook, start to understand what they're trying to accomplish. You even had Chris Godwin there, who is injured. He couldn't participate due to injury, but he was there. He was part of the squad, and there were a couple of players that weren't there or they were there and weren't participating due to injury. I know Grant Stewart was one of those players, but kind of something to keep an eye on, maybe, in my opinion, is Russell Gage. Is he going to show up for OTAs at all, or is he just holding off and waiting for minicamp? CeeLo Ram, other than rookies we signed yesterday, do you know who else has impressed? Nothing outside of what I saw on Twitter. CeeLo, obviously I'm not there. I'm here in Ohio, just a little bit away from my guy David Stacks, who's in the chat. Shout out to him. He's the one that sent me that beautiful picture right there. So I mean, early. It's early. We're talking day one of OTAs. Let's wait a little bit. Let's start to see some of the names that are popping up. I know there's a undrafted free agent wide receiver that they really, really love. He's gotten a tryout contract for training camp, and he's been incredibly impressive early on. But outside of that, it's still way too early to really start picking out some names. But a name that all of you are familiar with is that of Vita Vea. And Vita Vea is expected to take on a larger leadership role in the offense. And he spoke with the media after practice on Tuesday, and he said, quote, "I feel pretty comfortable with it being, becoming a leader of the defense. We've got some other guys in our group that are older than me that also play that leadership position. So I don't think it's all on me. I think as a collective group, we all do a good job working together and taking that leadership role when there needs to be leadership. I think that's the best thing about us because we call each other out on our BS. So it works out for us," end quote. So Vita Vea, as you would expect, he's locked up longer than any other Buccaneer as far as his contract is concerned. He was a first round pick. He has been a crucial part of this defense. Well, now Jason Pierre-Paul, who has been a constant leader for this team over the past couple of years, he's no longer there. And Ndamukong Suh was brought in to bring a little nasty, bring a little leadership. He is not there. Doesn't mean he won't come back. Doesn't look good. Doesn't mean he won't come back. But now they're looking to Vita Vea. He is the leader at the front of that defense. You still have Devin White and Levante David there in the middle. Looks like Antoine Winfield Jr. is kind of emerging as that leader on the back end of the defense. But you bring in some veteran guys like Keanu Neal, like Logan Ryan, who we're going to talk about in just a moment. But those are new guys. Those are first year on the team, first year in the system. They're going to look to their young guys. Who is going to emerge out of that young core that they have drafted over the last couple of years to be those leaders and to really take hold of this defense? And like Vita Vea said, call other players out on their BS and hold each other accountable for the long term. And I know Bucs fans don't want to think about it, but Levante David is not the long term. Now you have Vita Vea up front. You still have Devin White in the middle, and you're going to have Antoine Winfield Jr. on the back end of that defense as the long-term leaders. Think Sapp, Brooks, Lynch. How long were those guys the leaders in those respective areas of the defense? That's what you're looking at here. These guys drafted within just a couple of years of each other. They're growing together. They're learning together. They're winning together. They're going to be the ones to spearhead this Todd Bowles defense for as long as Todd Bowles is around and as long as that defense is intact. So it's nice to see that the coaching staff is looking to Vita Vea to say, we need you to be that guy up front. We need you to be that voice, that leader. And, the better it is that Vita Vea is comfortable with it. But like I said, we're going to be talking about Keanu Neal and Logan Ryan coming up in just a moment. And coming up in segment 3, we're going to be answering questions out of the live chat. So make sure you're getting your questions in. We are going to get to a lot of those. But first, summer is coming. And with summer, you're going to need some food on the go. Built Bars are the perfect snack to take with you on family vacations. Throw them in the bag. Throw them in your kids' backpacks. Make sure that everyone has a bar so you are fueled for your summer adventures. The best part about Built Bars, they are healthy and delicious. No more sacrificing delicious food for health. With Built Bar, you can have both. Not only can you have both, but you can have it in the form of a birthday cake Built Puff. Those are amazing. Built Bar sent me a case of them. I'm having to fight my children in order to be able to eat any of them because they keep taking them all. All Built Bars and Puffs are covered in 100% real chocolate. That means with Built Bar, you can eat healthy and actually enjoy doing it. Most of these Built Bars, 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein. You can go to Built.com and check out all of your favorite flavors, from the birthday cake puffs and the churro puffs to the peanut butter brownie, the coconut almond, the cherry barcia. So many different flavors. And if you're not familiar with them, go ahead and order yourself a mixed box and you're going to find which flavors are your favorite. So next time you can build your own custom box. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15 and you're going to get 15% off your order. Again, promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Segment 2 here of the Locked On Bucs podcast, and we thank you for making Locked On Bucs your first listen or view of the day. Now, segment 1 talked about Vita Vea speaking to the media about being a leader, being, a guy that they are looking to. Well, Antoine Winfield Jr., of course, is another one of those guys, but he has some help now. The Bucs lost Jordan Whitehead to the New York Jets, and Jordan Whitehead is having himself a time. Kind of throwing some shade at the Bucs on Twitter, but we're not going to get into that. We're going to get into the additions of Logan Ryan and Keanu Neal. Antoine Winfield Jr. spoke about them specifically to the media on Tuesday. He said, quote, "Yeah, I'm glad to have those guys on our team. It allows me to be versatile and allows our secondary to be more versatile because they can come in and fill those roles immediately that we need as far as having them in the box or having them in the post. They're an extra addition for our team, so it's great to have those guys' versatility." Todd Bowles loves safeties. He loves safeties the way Toronto loves losing in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And his safeties are always these versatile players. Guys like Logan Ryan, who David and I have spoken about numerous times, that can play in the box. He can play deep. He can play in the slot. He can come off the edge. He can play an outside corner. He can do it all. Well, Antoine Winfield Jr. is another one of those guys that is incredibly versatile. We've seen over the course of his young career, he'll crash the box. He'll come in and blitz from the corner. He'll line up and as a slot, but he'll come in on an edge blitz. He can cover everybody except Cooper Kupp in the second round of the NFC playoffs. He's another one of those really versatile guys. So having all of these guys that could do all of these different things, whether it's Antoine Winfield Jr., Mike Edwards, Logan Ryan, Keanu Neal, it adds an extra layer of deception to Todd Bowles' defense, because just because you see these guys lined up in these certain spots doesn't mean that that's where they're going to stay. It doesn't mean that they're tipping their hand as to what they're going to do. You could have Logan Ryan coming up to the slot, showing blitz, then all of a sudden he drops back, and here comes Antoine Winfield Jr. flying off the other side. It's so versatile, right? I mean, Antoine Winfield, said it himself numerous times. It creates such a versatile look for this Bucs defense that you never, ever know who's coming, where they're coming from, who's dropping back, who's coming up. It adds a layer of difficulty for the opposing offenses to be able to figure out what kind of defense the Bucs are in, because you see all the tricks, all the everything where you'll have your dummy call to try to get someone to move or shift. You're sending one of your receivers or your tight end or your running back in motion to try to show, are they playing man? Are they playing zone? None of that matters anymore, because the Buccaneers are able to move so many of these pieces around that they don't have to tip their hand. They don't have to show the opposing offense what they're about to do. And it makes it more difficult for them to execute their game plan, makes it a lot easier on the Buccaneers, creates for opportunities to take the ball away because of miscommunications on the offensive side of the ball. Quarterback didn't see what he thought he saw, all those different things. So I'm really excited to start to see Logan Ryan and Keanu Neal immerse themselves in the back end of this defense. But somebody that a lot of Bucs fans are wanting to see immerse himself in anything other than trolling on social media is Rob Gronkowski. And he sent Bucs fans into a flurry again over the weekend when he had commented on Leonard Fournette's Instagram post that he would be cheering Lenny on from the stands while wearing a number 7 jersey. All right. Then Tom Brady posts a picture of himself and Gronk celebrating after Super Bowl 55 for Gronk's birthday, and the big happy birthday banner over the top. And then it said, "Are you getting bored yet?" at the bottom. Then on the Tampa Bay, on the TB12 account, there was a post saying that Gronk better be healthy this season. So Brady's starting to kind of poke. He's getting a little tired of it. At this point, Gronk has made Bucs fans and his buddy Tom Brady and the rest of the Buccaneers wait far longer than Brady did with his 40-day retirement. And I don't know. I've gone back and forth on this, and you guys can let me know in the live chat what you think. But I think Gronk is just loving trolling everybody. I think he sends out a post or a comment like the one to Leonard Fournette saying, "I'm going to cheer you on from the stands wearing your jersey," and he just starts in with his goofy Gronk giggle and saying, watch everybody freak out about this. And I started at like 99% sure that Gronk was going to come back. I think I dipped all the way down to like 60%. I'm back hovering around like 80, 85%. And one of the big tells for me, maybe I read too much into this kind of stuff, or I take signs like this way more seriously than they need to be taken. But you go back to draft weekend, and Logan Hall is the selection for the Buccaneers to start the second round. Within 5 minutes, the Buccaneers social media team had a photoshopped picture of Logan Hall in a Buccaneers uniform wearing number 90. And we all said, well, that's it. No JPP. Cade Otton, who wore 87 in college there with Washington, he was a high pick for the Buccaneers at the tight end position. Probably would have been drafted even higher than the Buccaneers got him had he been healthy through the process. Well, he's wearing number 88. And I get it. I get that numbers can change from rookie minicamp to OTAs to training camp, and there's only so many numbers to go around. And there was somebody else, one of the rookie minicamp invites was wearing number 9, so people were asking if Joe Tryon-Shoyinka was changing his number. That wasn't the case. If this guy made the team, he would have to pick a different number because 9 is Tryon-Shoyinka's. So at this stage, I think Gronk is just having fun trolling everyone. I think he doesn't want to show up to the voluntary off-season stuff. I think he doesn't want to show up to minicamp. And I was talking to somebody the other day. I was like, watch, he's going to sign 4th of July weekend. That's when he'll do it, because then the next thing that he has to be ready for is training camp a month later. So that's what I'm looking at this point. But there is still that outside shot that Gronk doesn't come back. And we're going to go back, in a month and a half after Gronk has announced his retirement and say, well, you remember when we talked on the show about him commenting that he was going to cheer on Leonard Fournette from the stands wearing a number 7 jersey? I guess he was serious. So, it is what it is, but you have to follow along just because maybe there's some truth behind some of this, or maybe this is just Gronk being Gronk and having a grand old time and doing his weird, contagious Gronk giggle every time he posts about something. You'd have to think at this stage, though, Tom Brady's in his ear saying, all right, Rob, enough's enough. Let's get it moving. If I were to put money on it, I would say that Gronk is back for one more year with the Buccaneers. Does he play beyond that? I don't know. But I do think he returns for the 2022 season with the Buccaneers. And if I was going to put money on it, of course, I would do it with our friends over at BetOnline, who continue to be the number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. You can find all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's basketball playoffs, Major League Baseball scores, Stanley Cup playoffs, fights, and even next season's NFL futures. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Wrapping things up here on a Wednesday edition of the Locked On Bucs podcast. James Yarcho flying solo. You can follow me on Twitter at JYarcho_Bucs. Yes, I realize that we are live on YouTube on a Tuesday night, and I'm saying it's the Wednesday edition, but for all of our OGs out there, and we love and appreciate every one of you, This show will drop on the podcast format of your choice at midnight, thus the Wednesday episode. And you're probably sitting there going, James, you're not talking to anybody except those of us watching right now, and you're not having to listen to anyone interact with you. Why are you wearing headphones? Well, it's because of this reason right here. We have a voicemail. Zach in Dallas answered my call for you all to help me with this episode, to send in your questions, send in your topics. So we are going to hear from Zach in Dallas, and then I'm still keeping an eye on you folks in the live chat. Send me your questions to wrap up this show. David, I see you have one in there. For the rest of you watching, please send in your questions, send in your comments, send in your thought. At this point, it could be an ask me anything. You can ask me about the Bucs. You can ask me about the Lightning, who are getting ready to play here in about 40 minutes. You can ask me about movies, music, whatever you'd like. Just start filling up that live chat with your questions while we hear from Zach in Dallas.
What is up, James? This is Zach from Dallas, calling in, trying to help you out on your solo episode. Man, I am pumped for the game in Dallas, or was pumped until I saw that standing room only tickets are already over $100. So I got to figure that one out. But calm down. I know it's super early. Not going to hold you to this. What is your way too early score prediction for the Dallas-Tampa game? Like I said, I know it's early. I'm just curious. We'll catch you later, guys. Fire those cannons. Go Bucs.
Zach, thank you very much for the call. And yeah, I mean, standing room only for $100 does not sound like a great time. However, my son informed me the other day, the most expensive ticket in the NFL right after they announced the schedule was Cowboys-Packers. And those tickets were going for over $500 a piece. I cannot fathom spending $500 on a ticket for anything. It would take John Lennon and George Harrison coming back from the dead and the Beatles going on tour for me to spend $500 on a ticket for something. That is insane. But more power to those that are able to go out and buy those seats. So way too early score prediction for week 1 between the Bucs and the Cowboys. A refresher for those that may have forgotten, last year, week 1, Buccaneers, defending champions at home, hosting the Dallas Cowboys. They win that game 31-29. Okay. This year may not have Chris Godwin in this one. Definitely don't have Antonio Brown in this one, who I correctly predicted was going to go over 100 yards and a touchdown in that game against the Cowboys. Maybe you don't have Gronk. I think you have Gronk. But you do have Russell Gage. You do have Mike Evans. You've now added Cade Otton. You've got awesome mustache Cameron Brate out there. You have Rachaad White, which is going to be an interesting mix into the offense. Not only that, but your defense might have gotten a little bit better. You know, you take a look at the addition of Logan Hall. You take a look that hopefully your starting corners are healthy, and you've added Zion McCollum. You've added Logan Ryan. You've added Keon O'Neal. And you take a look at Dallas. They no longer have Amari Cooper, who was a huge factor in that game. You know, maybe CD's going to go off a little bit more, but Zeke is starting to fade, starting to fall out of favor. He's not the running back that he was when the Bucs and Cowboys played a few years ago, and he's scoring a touchdown and jumping in the Salvation Army bucket and all that. I'm going to take the Buccaneers to win. And you know what, Zach, you can write this down. You can hold me to this. Bucs win 37-28. That is my way too early score prediction for week 1 for the Buccaneers and the Cowboys. They're going to go into Jerry World, and they're going to win by 2 scores. Jumping over to the live chat, David, I see you asking about how much of an impact will Zion have in the secondary this season? Look, I love Zion McCollum. I absolutely love this kid. He is big. He is fast. He is physical. He is intelligent. And he is gunning for a starting job. Realize that sounds a little far-fetched. How is a 5th-round selection going to be fighting for a starting job in this secondary? Well, first and foremost, Zion McCollum may have been drafted in the 5th round. He is not a 5th-round talent. I believe that Dane Brugler had him with a 3rd-round grade. A lot of draft experts, and that only gets you so far, but a lot of draft experts had a day 2 grade on this kid. Sean Murphy-Bunting was a little bit disappointing last year. I realized he got injured in that Cowboys game, had to battle back from injury, never really looked like he got back to that 2020 form, but he better find that form, and he better find it quickly, because Zion McCollum is everything that Sean Murphy-Bunting is, and he can be a lot more. So it's going to be interesting to watch these camp battles, especially in the secondary, and we're going to see what Zion McCollum is really made of. Is he really a day 2 guy? Because it wouldn't surprise anyone if I said, yeah, Zion McCollum, 2nd-round pick, he'll find a way into the starting lineup. See Antoine Winfield Jr. But a 5th-round pick, you're thinking, let's wait and see. But he's going to battle, and he's either going to push Sean Murphy-Bunting to find another level, or he's going to push Sean Murphy-Bunting to find a seat on the bench while he is taking over opposite of Carlton Davis. David Harrison, are you ready to admit Anakin is the main villain in Star Wars? No, absolutely not. No. But I am excited that Obi-Wan starts in just a couple of weeks. In fact, I think we're 10 days away. 10 days away from the Obi-Wan series. Let's go. All right, David, that's what I wanted to hear. I also love this guy. He was not a 5th-round talent. Slept on big time. All right. With that, if there's no more questions, I think we are going to go ahead and get out of here. The Lightning game starts in about a half hour. So I know a lot of you in the live chat and watching live over at YouTube are pumped to watch that. Game 1, Tampa Bay versus the Florida Panthers. This rivalry has gotten real, and my heart hurts that Braden Point is probably not playing tonight. Hopefully he recovers soon. Yes, exactly, David. Go Bolts. So we'd like to thank you for watching live over on YouTube. This is something that I think David and I are going to start doing a little bit more often. Might end up finding one day a week to make sure that we go live, same day, same time every week, especially when we start to get close to the season. And it'll be a lot of fun, get a lot more interaction. So we thank all of you watching live on YouTube, and we thank you for making Locked On Bucs your first listen every day. Now make your second listen to Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. Nope, make it Locked On NFL. There is no offseason for the real fans. David's going to make fun of me because I didn't update that in the script. He's already making fun of me. Yes, David, be the Thunder. Yes, make your second listen Locked On NFL. The schedule may be dark, but the NFL never stops, and neither does Locked On NFL. Get insights and opinions from hosts including Ross Jackson, Chris Carter, and Tony Wiggins, plus local Locked On NFL hosts repping all 32 squads. There is no offseason for real fans, so make sure you're subscribed to Locked On NFL on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. While you're at it, subscribe to Locked On NFL Draft because they talk about it all year long. Ryan Tracy, Eric Crocker, they crush it over there. Continue to listen to them so you're ready to know who to look for this college season, as teams will inevitably begin talking about the draft by mid-November. David will be back tomorrow. If you have any questions or topics for him, of course, send him an email, lockedonbuckspodcast@gmail.com, or be like Zach in Dallas and call in at 813-444-5841. For David Harrison, I am James Yarcho. Make sure you're checking everything out over at bucksgameday.com, bucksnation.com, and follow along on Twitter at Locked On Bucs, at JYarcho_Bucks, and at DHarrison82. Hope you all have an absolutely outstanding day. Stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, be good to one another, fire those cannons. We thank you so much for joining us right here at Locked On Bucs.